Hi, I'm Super Kirbylicious. On this episode of my Nerf review series, I'm going to be reviewing the first Nerf gun I've ever owned, Clear Series Maverick. So just to give you a little bit of background on the Clear Series, Clear Series was released in 2010 to count down the launch of the Stampede ECS-50 on September 9th, 2010. They came packaged with red darts, with the exception of the Maverick. It came with orange darts with blue suction cups on the end. I lost all of mine somehow, so I don't have any of those left. Keep in mind, though, that Clear Mavericks were released in GameStop stores with the N-Strike video game when it first came out in 2008. So the Maverick was considered rare, and then they re-released it with the Clear series in 2010. Packaged with the gun came the gun itself and 6 suction cup darts with blue tips. Got your rail up here for any N-Strike attachments. There's your little piece right here for it to stick. You've got a sling mount right on the end of the slide. That's really the only place you can put it. You've got a little bit of a sight system right here, if you can tell. It's a little higher than the rest of the plastic, and it lines up with the slide at the end. So you can use that as a sight if you want, but you could also put a recon sight or a scope on your sliding rail, as I said before. Every time you pull the trigger, I don't know what this thing's called. It moves forward. This is a little tricky at sometimes because when you're trying to cock it and you're about to shoot, you can end up getting your dart stuck inside because it doesn't fire out properly. Because you'll pull the trigger too fast and the dart will stay in there because the rotating barrel, that's what I meant to say, won't rotate fast enough, so you won't be able to get a shot off. That is not very handy if you're in the middle of an intense fight and you have just one chance at trying to hit someone if they're trying to hit you with a bigger gun with more ammo. Barrel carries 6, as you can see. You can pop out to reload this orange button right here, and it'll just slide out and you can reload as fast as you want. It's very easy to reload when you pop it out, and you just push it back in and it stays. It's not going to move on you. And pull the trigger and you shoot. And it came right back to me. It bounced off my bedroom wall. If you're not using a sling, it's very easy to carry this. The new Nerf vests that they're making, well, the new ones anyway, the old ones can do this too, but they have a strap right above your hip that you can just stick it in and it'll just hang there. That's my phone going off. Okay, now that we're done with the distractions, I can describe a little bit more. Something I would recommend doing is the barrel brake has a piece that goes on the rail that you cock. It holds a bit of ammo. I would recommend doing that with this gun just because it's only 6 in a barrel and it's not that inconvenient at all. I haven't actually experimented with it, but I've seen other people use it and it looks very comfortable to me. So, enough of the small talk. Getting dark, so I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try doing this in the dark outside. So let's go outside. I'm going to do the same thing I usually do. I'm going to fire it right over the camera so you can see each dart go by. And if you look up in the sky, it looks like it's going to rain, so I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can, but still be effective. So let's just go ahead and do this. In hindsight, using dark darts might not have been the best idea, but if you could vaguely see them, they went a pretty consistent distance. I had a kind of a bit of variety with my darts in my Maverick. I have one whistler, I have a black whistler, another black whistler, red whistler, suction dart that's not made by Nerf, a black suction dart here, and I meant to say this was a streamline. I don't know if I got that right, but I guess it was a little hard to see, but I measured and went about 20, 30 feet-ish. I was meaning to mention this earlier, but this Maverick actually does have a little bit of a modification in it. If you can see right there, that dark spot, that's 4 Canadian pennies lined up right there. Compresses the spring a little more, gives it a little more power. Jams on the off time, but gives it a lot more power than it is stock. It's probably why I'm hitting 30 feet with this. I don't usually hit 30 feet with a non-modded Maverick. I did have another one, however I sold it at a garage sale because, well, I had too many Nerf guns. I didn't have room for them, so I had to get rid of a few of them. I probably should have kept them in hindsight just to review. I had a long strike as well, and I know a lot of people complain about the long strike just because it doesn't fire as far as it really says on the box. However, I just did one thing to it and it fired completely fine. All I did was just tape over the access door, because if you have a long strike you would know that it's got holes all over the top. So I just taped those down and it was fine. I could even use with the barrel extension and I could still hit the long range. So for you with a long strike, if you have one at home, that's an easy way to make it go farther. That one I also sold at a garage sale. Should have probably kept it, but got the long shot, so I had to get rid of something. I'm going to try my hardest not to go off topic again just for the sake of the review. So that was the firing test. Now to talk a little bit more about what I like about this gun. The grip, very comfortable. Built for fingers right there, as you can see. There's 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of the hand wraps around like this. Sometimes it doesn't matter to me where I put my finger. Sometimes my pinky finger goes underneath, sometimes it just goes up here. My thumb, of course, is always up here. Actually, sometimes I put my pinky on the bottom because I put my finger on the trigger right here. I don't know why I was doing it like this. I can pull the trigger with my finger even though I don't have that big of a hand when my finger's right here. You can see my other fingers are still there and I'm pulling the trigger right now. Not gonna, oh, no, never mind, it's not loaded. I can still do it, but I'm not gonna fire to my room because I already put a mark on the wall from the last one. So, yeah. I like how natural it feels when you're cocking it and pulling it back. It doesn't take that much effort at all. When you do compress a spring like I did with my penny mod here, it does take a little more effort, but still, it's really nothing. One thing that I kind of don't like, as I already mentioned, is that it rotates on the shot, which can jam your dart. I like having a sling here. I actually never really used it. I like that the barrel can come out so it's easy to reload, and I just like how comfortable it feels, and for $12 that's pretty good. $12 gun, you can get this. They're making the strong arm, and I think it's the same price now. It might be $12.99, whatever. It's $1 more, big deal. So it's the same as every other Maverick. They didn't add anything into the Clear Series. It's just the exact same, just with a different... Oh, one thing I should probably mention. It's been stated that this series was made with cheaper plastic. So with some of the guns, if you primed it too fast, it would just break off. So you don't want to pull on this too fast because you're probably just going to end up breaking something inside, and that wouldn't be good unless you're good at gluing plastic back together and getting it to hold. This hole here, it's a good size for a gun like this. It's easy for the dart to go through. The sight thing that's kind of built in here, I think it's really kind of pointless. It's kind of cool that they added it, but I don't really see the need for this. You can see right here, that's the top on the front. Kind of helps you line up. I could probably hit the camera right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because I value my computer, value my camera as well, and that camera doesn't have very good video. So, well, I'm starting to ramble now, so I guess I should probably wrap it up. While I was doing my research, one thing I found that the strong arm actually has a belt clip down here now, but that kind of inhibits the fingers a little bit, so you can't really put a finger there anymore. Also, strong arm has a different barrel. It's actually cut off a little bit and rounded about where the dart's head would stick out. It'd be cut off around here-ish, if you've ever seen one. I haven't seen one in person. Okay, I have, I just haven't used one in person yet. Probably will end up getting one eventually. Strong arm is different from this in a lot of ways because you actually have to put the barrel out all the way to reload the strong arm instead of just pulling the trigger and sticking one in on the side, which is possible, but it's a little bit of a hassle if you're trying to do this quick. Also, the strong arm only moves on the plunger return, so you're not going to jam your dart firing because it's only going to do that once you're finished firing, so it's going to have to come back. Priming, I think, is probably a little bit easier on the strong arm just because it's better material. So, even though you probably won't find this in a lot of places anymore unless you get it used, if I found one, I'd probably still pick it up. I'm currently trying to get rid of this one just because I want to. Well, I wouldn't say I want to get rid of it. It does have a lot of nostalgic memories. I'm starting to mumble a lot now. This was the first gun I ever had, so it does mean a little bit to me, although it's not really that big of a deal. I don't value it that much, considering I have a lot of other things. So I am kind of trying to get rid of it in order to get some new stuff. It's had its time, but I honestly prefer my switch shot over this just because my switch shot has a better range. I'm going to end the review on a good note before you all get bored with my stories. This is a very good gun. I'd recommend finding one if it was the right price used. There's not going to be a lot of people that have broken a Maverick, to be completely honest. Although I have seen a few people I know who have, but they haven't been using it properly, and if they're using it properly, there's a very high chance they're not going to break it. So if you don't want to pay for something that looks the exact same as this, I'd say go for one that's used, but the strong arm does have a better range. So if you're willing to pay the $13, I'd recommend the strong arm over this. But all in all, this is always a good gun. It's probably the most popular Nerf gun of all time. I did research on that too. So I'm gonna wrap up the review now just because you're all probably getting bored. So I'm Super Kirbylicious, and I'm out. Welcome to the freak show. This is where the